looking for a program to start a business, grow an existing one, or manage your personal finances? Your search stops right here. Join Mukonke Mukonke from Inside Partners Africa every Tuesdays at 0720 hours on the Nalama Insights Business Show, a program that gives you the best and most practical, actionable insights.
Good morning and welcome to another exciting episode of the Insights Business Show. I'm your host, Alex, and we're thrilled to have you with us on this beautiful Tuesday morning. Today, we have our returning guest who is a regular fixture of the show, a financial expert known for insightful advice on financial management, Mukonke. Mukonke, it's great to have you back.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm great, thanks. And how are you?
Good. It's a beautiful Tuesday morning.
Yeah, it is, but I think the heat is a bit too much right now. But Mukonke, today's topic, we're looking at one that's basically fundamental to achieving financial success. That is living within your means to attain financial freedom. This is a topic that resonates with many of us, whether we're just starting our financial journey or looking to make improvements. But before we dive in, Mukonke, can you share with our listeners why this topic is so important?
Living within our means is a topic that's extremely important for those of us that are on a journey to financial freedom. We want to ensure that we have enough money to cover our living expenses, even when we retire. So if we are able to live within our means, it helps us to create a strong foundation upon which we can create our financial goals and ensure that we can attain them. That's why this topic is really important today.
Very powerful message indeed. Now let's start with the basics. What does it mean to live within your means, and why do so many people struggle with it?
So basically, living within your means, in fact, I like to say live below your means rather than even within your means. It means you live within the income that you earn or below the income that you earn or make. So for example, if you've got a salary of 10,000 kwacha, we expect that your living expenses should not exceed the 10,000 kwacha. Your expenses should be below the 10,000 kwacha. If you exceed the 10,000 kwacha, maybe you've got you can borrow from other sources and you are able to get to 15,000. It means you're living above your means. You're not living within your means. Now, many of us struggle with living within our means, this concept of living within our means, because of pressure from society, from what we see from our friends or even family. Maybe they're doing better off than us. And so we want to live a standard of life that is beyond our means. We might see a colleague or a neighbor who's living maybe extravagantly. We don't know how they make their income. And so we want to check them. And also nowadays, Leslie, we have social media. It's a long time ago, we used to look to our neighbors. It was like a simple thing. You check your neighbors and see how they're living and maybe try to copy them. Now, even social media is adding extra pressure. If you just go on any social media platform, especially, these platforms where younger ones are found, Facebook, Instagram, and all of these social media platforms, you find people's lifestyles that are quite extravagant. A workmate of yours, you could be working with somebody and you wonder, how did they manage to get that car? How do they manage to live in that house? And so nowadays it's become really hard because of social media as well. So the pressure for us to live above our means, or for us to appear as though we are doing better than we are, is really intense.
Now those are some common challenges, but for our listeners, can you provide some practical tips on how they can start living below their means?
So the most important thing that I always emphasize is to work with a budget. If I had to ask you today, how much money do you make, Leslie? You obviously have an idea, right? What about how much do you spend in a month?
Probably about every month.
So it's so hard for many of us to be able to know how much we spend in a month, because spending is easy. You can, like for us ladies, if you're bored, you can just say, I'm going out to window shopping. You even carry your handcard, your debit card, but you're just going window shopping. Before you know it, you're coming back with luggages or bags of things that you might not even have planned to spend on. And so the very first thing you need to do if you're going to start living within your means is create a budget, because a budget is where you plan how much income you earn or should make, and how you're going to spend it. And when you do that, you are actually planning for how you're going to spend your money. You're giving every single kwacha something to do so that you don't spend more than you make. So always start with a budget and look at expenditures that are not necessary and reduce on those. The other thing is learn to say no to expenditure. Like let me go back to us ladies again. We are so many times we are tempted to buy things that are not needed. You go in a shop, you went to buy maybe a handbag, maybe for a special occasion. Before you know it, you're looking at evening gowns, dresses. Before you know it, you want to pair it off with a nice shoe. Before you know it, for some of us who love watches, you want to buy a watch. So learn to say no. If whenever you are going out shopping, create a shopping list that is aligned to your budget, and learn to say no to things that are not essential. And this is also for you guys, by the way, Leslie. So don't think you're getting away from this.
Sometimes I think guys actually spend more because they have to spend for everyone else as well. Now, tracking spending is a critical aspect of managing one's finances. But how can individuals effectively track their expenses to ensure they're living below their means?
Thank you. So when you are tracking your expenses, it's simply helping you see how you are spending your money. So it creates the visibility in terms of how you spend your money. Recently, I created a method of tracking my expenditure, which I hope is also going to be useful for those that are listening or watching. I think I've said this before, Leslie. I don't know if you recall. Previously, I always take receipts. As an accountant, I'm so disciplined that I always collect a receipt or an invoice wherever I go. But in the past, I would collect the receipts and invoices and put them in my handbag. And then after a few days, clean my handbag, throw them in the trash, in the bin, and forget about it. And I'll continue collecting and throwing in the trash bin. Then one day I just realized, but why don't I file these receipts and post them into some Excel spreadsheet so that I see exactly how I'm spending my money? So I've started piling or throwing my receipts in a paper bag that I frequently. So whenever I go shopping, I collect a receipt or an invoice. When I come back home, I've got a paper bag that I just throw the receipts into. And every month I ask my helper to just file the receipts. I've shown her how to file the receipts in the folder. And then every month I'm posting in Excel. This has created a lot of visibility in terms of where my money goes. And you would be interested. It's so funny that sometimes I spend money on areas that I shouldn't have. And majority of my expenditure, Leslie, would you like to know? Majority of my expenditure goes to shopping. As in, I spend too much money shopping, and it's not necessary. Like, I've already got so much stuff in my house, other things I don't even wear. And so now, because of this visibility or exposure to areas where I'm wasting money, it's now allowing me to not be, enticed to go and spend more money. I'll just say, okay, fine, I've bought enough of this, so let me save money. And now that I even have a savings plan, an investment plan, how can I save this money to go and invest in a government bond, maybe save it up to 50,000 or take it to a plot? That is what the visibility into your expenditure creates. You are able to realize that you've actually been just wasteful.
It's about visibility.
Yes.
That's a very interesting concept. But we'll take a short break. We'll be right back. We are with Mukonkela on the show today, and we're discussing living within your means to attain financial freedom. Remember that you can also watch and interact with Mukonke live on YouTube. So if you have access to that, please do so. For now, we'll take a short break. We will be right back.
You are still listening to the Galama Insights Business Show, brought to you by Insight Partners Africa. Leave your comment or question on Mukonkela's YouTube channel. The Galama Insights, turning your challenges into actionable insights.
Right, and I'm still thinking about the visibility aspect. I think that's very interesting. Though I'm not very good with Excel, but it's something you can do even without Excel, isn't it?
Yes.
It's just you setting the table, right?
Yes. If you want, you can use pen and paper if you're comfortable with that. And yeah, what's important is to get started.
Just get started.
Just get
Right? We're
started.
talking about living within your means to attain financial freedom, and I have Mukonke with me in the studio. Remember, you can follow her as well on YouTube. Simply search for Mukonke. She is live as well on YouTube. Now, let's address a common misconception. There's the belief that achieving financial freedom requires significant spending. But what are your thoughts on this, and how can people reduce their monthly expenses without compromising their quality of life?
Okay, so let's start with the first one. Achieving financial freedom requires a lot of expenditure. We need to have a lot of money. I've recently learned that is not true, actually. What achieving financial freedom requires is financial freedom. Let me give you an example. We could both be earning 10,000, and then at the end of the day, you, Leslie, are able to save maybe 3,000 quarter of that money, put it aside, and invest it later in whatever investment you've selected that you think is going to give you a return. Whereas for me, because I'm extravagant, I'm going to blow up the entire 10,000 and even borrow from my village banking group in anticipation of a bonus that I'm going to get at the year end. So I've even already spent the bonus before December. So what really matters is financial discipline. We can both be earning the same amount of income, but how much are you able to save and invest out of that income? So when it comes to financial freedom, it really doesn't matter how many millions of kwachas you make. What you need is a good plan, and know that financial freedom comes from investing, saving and investing, and not from just earning an income and spending it. Now, how can we reduce on our expenditure? So if you are working with a budget, you are already, you already have an idea of areas that you can cut off or cut in terms of expenditure or costs. That is a very good starting point. But also, I can also give you ideas from my personal experience. I love to exercise. I exercise using different methods. I go on the road, I cycle to Woodlands every Sunday. I go to the gym as well. But with gym membership, what I've discovered is sometimes I'm not consistent. I don't regularly go to the gym. So what I try to do is I don't pay a full year subscription to the gym. I pay monthly, so that when I pay for a month, I know in that month I'm not traveling and I'm going to commit myself. So I will regularly show up at the gym. That is one way I've learned to save money. In the past, I would pay for a 6-month, 1-year membership gym, and then I would find that 6 months of that membership, I didn't even go to the gym. So I started paying per month and knowing that this month I'm going to be around, because I do a lot of traveling because of the workshops that I do. I do a lot of traveling. So the months that I pay for gym is when I know I'm going to be in Lusaka and I'm going to be consistent at the gym. The other months I'm on the road. So that's one way. The other one is TV. We've got these subscription TVs. Many of us are so busy, we don't even have time to watch TV, especially if you're single, you don't have kids at home, you don't need to pay for the Cartoon Network. Why are you paying for the TV subscription? You can watch something to entertain yourself, YouTube. I mean, so those are some options, Leslie. I don't know what ideas you might have.
So the idea is looking for cheaper and more affordable alternatives to fit within your budget and your lifestyle.
Yes, within your budget and lifestyle. And this doesn't mean that you're going to be living, in poverty, or you're going to be struggling or suffering. No, I mean, it's about what you can afford. That's what it is at the end of the day.
And there's something about, the so-called suffering or struggling when you've got, a substantial amount in your bank account. You don't really feel it as struggling.
No,
it is a good feeling.
like
you know it's there. If you want to, you could, but you're not just doing it because you're trying to. You've got time.
Exactly. Like you, I love walking, and not that because my car has been down for almost a year now, but I'm loving walking such that I'm like, so what? Yeah.
If you wanted to, you could do
it. Yeah.
Financial freedom. All right. Now that you mentioned the importance of setting up a savings goal, could you expand on this and provide some tips on how to set realistic saving goals?
So again, we are not looking at the Mlengas or the Joneses, as many say, in terms of plans. These are personal goals. These are personal plans that you're creating for yourself. You know yourself better. So in terms of savings goals, you look at how much money do I make? How much can I reasonably save without, creating a burden, even for my relatives, my parents? Some of us would go back to our parents and say, Mommy, I haven't paid my rent and all of that. I'm past that stage, by the way. But there are those younger ones who would actually do that. When I was young, my dad was in trouble. Like, I would blow up my salary because I used to work at a bank. So month end, I'll just cross over the road, blow up the entire salary, and then the following day, believe it or not, I'm calling daddy for transport. But anyway, on a serious note, create a savings plan, start a budget, because budget will highlight to you how much you can save, how much money can remain towards your savings, and prioritize your savings, guys. It's so important such that when you are able to save money, you can use that money to invest, and that is the money that is actually going to draw you out of financial poverty, or out of poverty, such that you start attaining financial freedom. It sounds like a dream, but really start saving, because eventually savings is what is going to get you out of the situation you are in. Even if you are employed and you don't like your job, start saving. One day you're going to appreciate this.
All right. Now, finally, could you emphasize the importance of not spending money you don't have, and share some strategies on how to avoid impulsive spending?
So yeah, I'd love to get those ideas from you as well, because that's something I struggle with. Spending money you don't have can lead to a lot of financial troubles. A lot of people have gone ahead and borrowed from Shylocks, from financial institutions, from village banking groups, because they are living above their means, and they're trying to create a perception of a lifestyle that they can't afford. And as a result, they've created financial burden, financial stress, and they even run away from, their the people that they borrowed money from. Can't even pick up the phone. You've blocked people's numbers. Can you imagine how stressful that is? And so the way to get around this is to start learning to say no. Say no to yourself. Say no to your friends. Some of you have got very good friends where you hang out every weekend. Can we meet up at the Polo Grill? Is Polo Grill still there? Let's go and have a bride. And you know that you're the big spender. Say no. Say no. I'm spending time with my kids this weekend. We are just, having fun at home, blowing balloons. I don't know anything. That's it.
Yeah, basically, don't be the big buyer if you can't afford it.
No.
Mukonke, thank you very much for shedding light on these critical financial principles. And to our listeners, remember that living below your means is a practical way to achieve financial freedom. And by following some of these tips and techniques, you can pave the path to a brighter financial future. And of course, Mukonke, as we leave, last words to our listeners, just the last piece of advice, like a realistic piece of advice to actually use.
Learn to say no. Learn to say no to yourself. When you go out shopping, you find a nice, beautiful dress. Refer back to the wardrobe that you're leaving at home. Say no to that dress, and say no to your friends, guys. They are telling you to go hang up at the Polo Grill. I don't know if it's still there. Say no.
One of the hardest things for a man to do. But yes, it's one of the ways to financial freedom. Thank you for joining us on this enlightening journey towards financial freedom. Stay tuned for more valuable insights in our upcoming episodes. Until next time, make wise financial choices and embrace your journey to financial freedom.
You have been